It has been a hot minute since I sat in front of this camera, in front of this background, and just talked to you guys about, generally speaking, anything. And I think I have a lot to answer for and just sort of give you guys a little bit of background about my life right now and what I've been thinking going forward for the channel. And if you don't give a crap, that's perfectly fine, but to those that do, let's talk about it. So anyone that's followed me for a prolonged amount of time on this channel will know that I have sort of had this affinity for taking hiatuses, not necessarily quitting, but just sort of going off the map for a while with no rhyme or reason or warning, only to reappear from like the fifth fucking dimension and make a bunch of content and then disappear again. And I don't know if there have been theories or people wondering why I have for one reason or another, but I kind of just want to set the record straight and talk about what needs to happen for me to consistently make content on this platform in the way that I would enjoy. I'm not gonna lie to you guys, I have recorded videos like this for a hot minute, a lot of very sultry and sappy late night talks, 3 a.m. chats, just staring blankly into the camera for 20 or 30 minutes at a time, and none of them ever surfaced, none of them ever touched the face of the internet, and you're probably never going to see any of them. But I kind of have this feeling of this last ditch effort that if I don't make a video like this eventually, it's just never going to get made, and I'm going to stay in this vicious cycle for a prolonged period of time that is just going to end up causing me to feel more and more apathy. So I want to start by saying why I started this channel to begin with, and it's very simple. I grew up in an environment where a lot of the people that I surrounded myself with didn't necessarily ever give a shit about anything that I was doing, and as a result of that, I sort of took on the role of being the advice giver, the advice friend, the shoulder to lean on, and anytime I tried to express myself in a creative venture or even tried to copy things that other people were doing to try to get some sort of affirmation or validation from the peers that I looked up to, it usually didn't work. And most of that pretty much led to me developing a lot of niche interests that I took upon myself to enjoy as a lone wolf. And I started to convince myself that if I was just enjoying things by myself and could find gratification in my own little corner and space in the universe, that I didn't necessarily need anyone, that I didn't need anyone to care about the things I care about. And over time, this took a toll on me. It took a toll on my mental health, it took a toll on how I viewed myself, my self-perception, and that pretty much just spiraled to a position where I didn't really feel much motivation to do a lot of the things that I enjoyed. And then around like my mid to late teens, I started to really find a lot of creative avenues that I enjoyed, that I basically took it upon myself to go down and diverge into these paths on my own accord. One thing that a lot of people that watch this channel may not know is I am a pretty well-known voice actor in the nerdcore community. One video that I am a lead in is around like the 7 million view mark, and I've been in numerous projects that have 500,000, a million views, and that is pretty much my primary source of not only income, but just thing that I enjoy doing. I do commission work and stuff like that, but I've kept that mostly separate from this channel. That was something that I discovered hand in hand around the time that I started doing YouTube. Basically, and this is going to sound really funny, the reason that I started doing YouTube and voice acting, I had a really nasty leg injury and had a lot of time on my hands, and so a lot of the things that I spent my time doing, whether that be dancing, playing basketball, running, I just honestly did not have the energy or, just bluntly put, ability to be able to do in the way that I used to. Even now it kind of affects me, but I don't necessarily see it as a bad thing because it led me to this point and it led me to discover all of these things that I really enjoyed about myself. Now, creatively, growing up, I was always a very artsy inclined person. My dream job is to be an author. I enjoy writing, literature, poetry, and just anything that has to do with being artistic or expressing myself, I have always really enjoyed. Cut to late 2017, leading into 2018 when I started this channel. At first, it had nothing to do with music. I pretty much just uploaded whatever the hell I wanted to with some of my friends. It was pretty lax, it was pretty melancholic. I didn't really know what direction I was going to take it in, and at that point I was going under the alias Jay Morris. And then in mid 2018, I changed my name to J Morris the Review Guy, wherein I started to do a lot more content centered around music, reviews, and just as a whole, I would talk about television, movies, music, and then I started to grow a lot more when I started to consolidate and niche down into more of a music centered channel. I was taking a lot of inspiration and paying a lot of homage to the YouTubers that I enjoyed because I really loved metal music, and a lot of the YouTubers that I watched around that time, whether it be Cover Killer Nation, WyattXM, Vital Vinyl Vlog, Brain Smasher, all of these channels, even channels like Anthony Fantano, inspired me a lot and made me want to do that myself. And around that time, I tried to also get a lot of the people around me involved in it as well, and very few of them are still in my life today, but I can honestly say that a lot of the people I surrounded myself with just never really gave it the time of day, never really cared, and that's pretty much the story where that's concerned. And as the years rolled on, I had a lot of controversy, a lot of drama, a lot of falling outs when it came to this channel, whether it be literally getting called out by Jeff Becerra of Possessed, whether it be me being called out by Elijah of Cane Hill, whether it be the entire shit show that was the Vard Verkettes situation, countless hate comments, hundreds of threats and just hate comments. It's been genuinely insane, but honestly, I have thick skin when it comes to that stuff, and it usually does not get to me, and I just kind of do whatever I want to do. And if you want a word of advice, if you're wanting to start a channel in this niche, you kind of have to have thick skin to get through, or else you're just going to fail. But honestly, this platform has been my home. It has been an outlet, it has been catharsis, it has been an escape from everything, where there were a lot of days when I wouldn't have known what to do with myself if I didn't have this channel. Just to sit down, record, edit a video, and put it out, and hopefully people would like it. But at the end of the day, I was doing it for me, or at least it kind of started that way. As the years rolled on, I started to sort of become consumed with the nature of this niche and how it behaves. I saw how success was usually brought in a very homogenous way, with people doing similar series to each other and everyone kind of sticking to the same pattern and formula and doing the same exact type of videos as one another, and there was always this pressure to really check out the newest material and do album reviews. And considering that my name was literally J Morris the Review Guy, there was this added pressure on me that if I was doing any sort of content that sort of deviated from that, I felt like I was to blame, I felt like I wasn't doing something right. And especially considering at first when I would do videos that maybe weren't about that, I would get only comments about, hey, are you going to review this? Hey, are you going to review that? Or maybe just people, literally there have been times I've gotten comments of people saying, why isn't this a review? Where did the reviews go? And then I started to experiment a bit. I started to make content that felt more authentic to what I wanted to make on this platform. I started to do video essay content and rant videos. In 2019, I invented the series of mine, I Wanna Rant, where I would just do a generalized video, usually unedited, where I would just talk about a hot button topic or something that I personally liked or enjoyed. And then I started to do video essays, and those are literally some of my most viewed, engaged upon, commented on, and most positively received videos on this entire channel. The Sun video, the See You Space Cowboy video, the Bring Me the Horizon video for Don't Go, and so many more. Reek of the Unzen Gas Fumes comes to mind. These long form video essay type of videos that I absolutely adored making pretty much were my favorite videos to make, and it seemed like they were the videos that would perform the best. And that kind of messed with me a little bit, because the only thing I'd ever really been brought up in this niche on is that any sort of deviation was incorrect or wrong. And when I started seeing success with these type of videos, it made me start to wonder if I could genuinely make content that I enjoyed and make it a sustainable model for my channel. And the answer is kind of no, and that's for two reasons. Number one, having to do both review-oriented content as well as essay content made it very difficult to focus on either. And if I just wanted to focus on essay content, I literally couldn't focus on the reviews. So it was a lose-lose sort of situation. Those of you that know me personally, friends of mine, will know that I work very intensely, and even if it maybe does not seem like that sometimes, I put a great deal of effort into every single thing that goes up on this channel, and so many things get scrapped, so many things never see the light of day, and if I polish and refine a video essay enough to release it, chances are I am genuinely proud of it in the moment, even though I'm usually not proud of most things I do. But the issue was that also went for my reviews. My reviews, a lot of times I would do spark notes for, I would do scripts for, I would try to listen to things multiple times, which would sometimes take 2, 3, 4 or more hours depending on the length. I would try to sit down and record a lengthy video, a decent amount of B-roll, would try to edit it through. Sometimes it's 2 to 3 files worth, and sometimes I edit down 15 or 20 minutes of raw material into 5 or 6. I like to hand make thumbnails on 2 different programs, Canva and then Be Funky, and I use both of those programs to make thumbnails. I handwrite out descriptions, a lot lengthier than most people in this niche. I add all full tags myself, and I don't use any templates to do any of that. And you can kind of see where this starts to become a little bit difficult, especially when you factor in research for the band or project I'm talking about, finding material, finding information, and sometimes going through their back catalog if it's a band or artist that I am not personally familiar with. And when essay content takes so much longer to produce and to make, it becomes 10 times more difficult to sort of balance the two out, because essay videos take so much more time and energy to do the research for, finding the pictures, editing the videos, doing the audio, working on the script, the thumbnail. A lot for me goes into picking the topics and just finding out what I want to make when it comes to a video essay topic. And I have been blessed to have some very obscure ideas become very popular in the grand scheme of views. And then came my rebranding, which I talked about briefly when I did rebrand in that video when I changed my name to the Metal Tempest, and that's kind of a very important part of this story. I had become increasingly uncomfortable with my branding, with my persona, with the way I put myself forward, and that name as a whole was just tied to a whole lot of bad that I didn't want it to be tied to anymore. And sometimes I even feel weird calling myself Jay Morris, but I know that that's who I am on this platform and that's who I'm always going to be, so it's something I can't really outrun. But I didn't like the way it made me feel, I didn't like the way my persona felt, I didn't like the name, I didn't like the branding, I didn't like any of it. And that's a big reason for a lot of my rebranding at first, is just appearance-wise, how I looked, how I conducted myself. It wasn't what I wanted, and just to put it as blunt as I possibly can, it got to the point to where just seeing myself on camera or hearing my voice in a certain way made me so uncomfortable with myself that it made me just not want to release any content at all, because I started to hate everything I did because of the voice and the person that it was coming from. And it goes a lot deeper than just self-esteem issues, but that's another thing for another time and not something that I'm really comfortable going over right now. It was hard. It was hard to sort of balance this feeling of feeling like I kind of had to keep up content that I wasn't personally as invested in as other types of content, all while just hating my entire image and everything it stood for. And yeah, I lost the dedication, I lost the motivation, and I just didn't particularly want to work on content because I hated everything I made. I wasn't able to make the things I wanted, all while just hating the person it was attached to in every single way. And a lot of times I would get these bursts where I would come back because I genuinely enjoyed working on content and enjoyed the channel that it was attached to. It was my passion, it was my hobby, but it was also very isolating and anxiety-inducing to feel like you were making content, but you really had no one to in-depth share it with. And that's the honest-to-God truth of why I take so many hiatuses. Recently, I did go on a pretty long trip, so I couldn't have made content anyway, and I came back sick. That's why my voice I probably don't sound the most, like, enthusiastic, but that goes for a lot of things, I guess. I think a lot of it also just comes down to general apathy. Sometimes it's hard to find pleasure or enjoyment out of some of the things that I used to, and that kind of kills motivation as well, because I will walk myself in circles every day saying I want to do something, but then just never end up doing it because I always keep saying I'm going to feel better and more motivated the next day, but it just doesn't happen because I'm so focused on other things that are stressing me out. I just don't have the mental energy to sit down and work on something no matter how passionate I am about it. And it can really come across as me being cold or not liking what I do or not caring about what I do, when quite the contrary, I adore this channel and it's one of the main vestiges of joy I have, and that's why it really bums me out when I'm not able to work on it in the way that I'd like. And so I'm going to kind of set a couple boundaries going forward when it comes to this channel, and it's kind of a no bullshit sort of thing. I'm going to make what I want, and I'm not going to be pigeonholed into following the niche or only doing things that I think are going to work in tandem with the rest of the niche. I think y'all can notice I'm not really a collaborator like a lot of people in this community. I don't really have guests on much, and I tried at one point to do a podcast, but I'm gonna be completely honest, as much as I love doing interviews and as much as I love talking to other YouTubers and things like that, that's just not my primary goal, and it's not really what I particularly enjoy. I mean, call it a self-fulfilling prophecy from the start of the video, but I genuinely just kind of enjoy being a lone wolf working on things in my own intense environment, I guess. And I think one thing that put it into perspective is how passively the channel's been growing recently, and that's actually really awesome. Thank you guys. I'm nearing 5,000 subscribers, and I don't want to let the platform that I've built or the audience I've built go to waste by just wallowing in this feeling of not being able to focus on things that I want to enjoy. And I want to stop putting so much pressure on myself to do certain things at certain times and whatever's new and fresh. And more so, I just want to make content that I enjoy. I want to work more on essays. I want to work more on tier lists and list-oriented videos, rant videos, but I still want to do reviews. I just don't want to become so consumed with being the review channel in the massive pool of review channels that I lose sight of the things that I enjoy doing on this platform. Because at my core, I just love sort of being this linguist and this poet, this person that does this sort of long form content and rant videos and makes an audience think. I just don't want to come on and talk for a record for 5 minutes, run over my words, repeat myself over and over, and then slap a score on the end and take like 5, 6, 7 hours to produce that video. It's fun, I enjoy engaging with you guys with that, but it's not the only thing I want to do. And I would go so far as to say it's not the primary thing that I want to do. And so for my own peace of mind, I think what I'm going to do model-wise for this channel is not succumb to a schedule, not succumb to a specific condensed way of making content, and more so make content on my time schedule, make content how I want to make it, and make the sort of videos that I want to make that I feel in the moment, and just try and see if it can work. And if it doesn't, maybe I'll go back to what I used to, maybe I'll just leave entirely, maybe I'll lose the motivation, or maybe I will just call it quits because I'm just not feeling it anymore. I'm just going to be truthful, I'm just going to be honest and make the things that I want to make, and hopefully in the end you guys will appreciate that and enjoy that. Because I won't lie to you guys and say that I'm doing the best, but the one thing in the past that I could always sort of rely on was this channel, and I think I lost sight of that along the way and started focusing on too many other things that were just not really giving me the same sort of satisfaction. And even if it may just sort of be a camouflage for bigger issues, having that branch of something to rely on genuinely feels good. It feels like a salvation in a way. But thank you guys for your continuous support. Seeing comments from people that have been watching for years whenever I come back is very gratifying and reassuring, and the growth on this channel is incredible. A lot of times I don't feel like I deserve it because I don't feel like I am consistent enough to deserve that, so it does mean a lot to get that, and I sincerely apologize for the hiatuses. I've just been going through a lot in my personal life and my personal head, and when I'm in these mind states, it's very difficult for me to work as intensely on something as I would like, and in sort of that disassociative haze and blur, it's really easy for me to sort of lose sight of the things that I want to do, or just put things off until days become days, weeks become weeks, months become months, and I'm looking back just feeling a hell of a lot of regret. That's kind of the cycle of me. But I think that is enough for the Jay Morris fucking therapy session, I guess. I don't even know what to call this video. I hope I don't scrap it as well. I appreciate the support, and I will be back very soon with some content, but it's going to be the content that I want to make and that I enjoy making. And past that point, we'll see what happens. I look forward to having you guys on this journey with me. Thank you so much. I'll talk to you guys later. Farewell.